Welcome to episode 65 of the Rex Chapman Show with my super dope homeboy from the Lextown, Josh Hopkins. Hello, Joshua.
Hello, Rex Everett. How's it going?
I'm pretty good, Billy Joe Hopkins, William Joseph.
Josh.
Yeah, how are things in Texas?
No, I'll be getting to Lexington soon for Thanksgiving. Are you going to Lexington for Thanksgiving?
I don't know. I hope to.
Well, if that gives you any more motivation, I'm going
Okay.
to be there. Okay.
All right. Episode 65, buddy. Do you know any 65s in sports?
The 60s have been tough, haven't they?
Bad numbers. Not popular numbers. It's not a basketball number at all. It's just the 60s aren't that sexy sports numbers wise.
It's a lot of offensive linemen that were really good that we don't know their names.
Yeah, that we don't respect enough.
Right.
65, I immediately go Dr. J, Jason Kidd, 6'5".
Yeah, that's where I would go, except I would, and my being so about myself all the time, I would go Dr. J, me, because I'm a 5. Everybody's got their number. I'm a 5.
Yeah, one of our producers chimed in with Russell. Bill Russell. That's
okay.
Pretty good.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
That's good. Yeah.
Really, really excited here. Book club. Have you read anything this week? We like to, do our book club each week. You read anything this week, Josh?
Nope. What about you?
Really excited. All week long, I would move my screen, but I don't want to mess it up. All week long, I've been watching. There's a huge billboard going up right across the street from where I live, and I've been watching, and there's going to be some print on there.
Yeah.
And when the print goes up there, I'm going to read it. So I haven't read anything yet, but when that billboard gets up there, going to read it. Haven't read anything this week. That's been book club.
Okay. Hey, I don't want to dilly-dally, please.
No?
I'm so excited about our guest. So let's skip the small talk, please.
Today, Josh, I am pleased to present two-time NBA All-Star, 1992-93 All-NBA, 1991 number 1 overall NBA pick, 1991 Rookie of the Year, 1990 National Champion, the Naismith Award winner, the John Wooden Award winner. Please welcome Larry Demetric Johnson.
Yo, you had to say my whole name, man.
That's what we do.
You had to say my whole name. I could be wanted for something.
LJ. I know you're not wanted for anything, man. LJ, thanks for doing this, bro.
Thanks for having me, fellas. I appreciate it, man. Congratulations on all your success, too.
Oh, man, I'm so happy for you. I don't know if people know. We're old now. You might not know this. Well, we were teammates for a few months. I was traded your rookie year. And I loved every second of that. It was just amazing getting to know you and play alongside you. But the first time I remember seeing you was I was in college, but barely. And I was at the USA trials. And I remember looking over on a side court and seeing Tim Gergerich over there with 2 or 3 young players that I had never seen, but looked like, oh my God, who are they? Turns out it was you, Stacey Augmon, and Greg Anthony.
Okay.
And I just remember going, why aren't these guys over here trying out with us? Y'all, So I go back to that, and y'all couldn't have been more than 17, 18 years old. So that was my first time seeing you. Do you remember the first time you saw me?
Yes. I think we, Gerd, UNLV, we don't get our little cheating in. So we was working out what's supposed to be. So we was getting it in. And you guys was doing y'all USA thing.
Yeah.
And Rex, you was big in college. So we that's Rex Chapman right there. White boy winning dunk contest. You know what I mean? And look, That's Rex right there.
I'll be darned. And, okay, so I wanna ask this. You're a Dallas kid.
Mhm.
Football in Dallas is the thing. I mean, did you play? And if you didn't play, why didn't you play?
I was quarterback my whole life, Rex. And I got my freshman year in high school, I was on the freshman team in football, and I was on the varsity in basketball. And I got hit. I got one of them freshman hits, and I went right to the basketball court. Y'all can have it. Yeah, I was bigger than everybody, up until that point. And then when he got to high school,
I wondered about that because I loved playing football growing up, and I got to be about 7th, 8th grade, but I was still like a little kid. Everybody was, and I got hit like that, and I remember thinking I was tough until then, and then I realized, I'm tough for basketball.
Right.
I can fight anybody for 3 seconds in basketball until the refs break us up. But this football, y'all can have it.
Yeah. Well, I did the same thing.
Yeah,
I did the same thing. I was on varsity basketball anyway, so it was the right move.
Well, if you went on, let's say you didn't quit. What kind? If you look at the NFL today, what position do you think you'd play?
Quarterback.
All right, it's a tough quarterback to bring down.
I was still slinging.
Still 6'6" though, 6'7", 6'6".
Never 6'7", Rex. Never 6'7". I was cheap.
I know.
At the combine, I was 6'5" and a half.
Were you really?
Wow.
Yeah, when they make you take your shoes off. I was like, I tried to bribe the guy, man, can I keep my shoes on?
But you know what? We didn't think about it back then, but the wingspan, everything, nobody challenged it because you played like a 7-footer. Nobody challenged nobody really gave a shit how tall. Charles is my size, 6'3" and a half, 4, 6'4".
Yeah.
And I stepped out on the court with him. Y'all were like 7-footers. That's how big you appeared, and that's how big you played around the rim. It was just funny. I remember people being like, no, he's not 6'7". He's not 6'8". He's 6'5", 6'6". But it didn't matter because you played so big.
Man, I was in there.
When did you, Larry, growing up, sports, when did you realize you were just better at, certain things than the other kids? When did you first get that sort of confidence from being good in sports?
It was pretty early, Rex. I want to say maybe 14, earlier than that, 12, 7th grade. I was winning everything. 6th, 7th grade, I was winning everything. I was pretty fast, tall, bigger than everybody.
You didn't lift though, did you? Or did you?
No. I didn't start lifting until I got to college. That's them beans and rice. That's that good old Texas living, man. That's them beans and rice. Dorothy Johnson.
Siblings?
So I have one sister, older sister.
Did she play sports or anything?
No. Everything was left up to me.
Look, looking back, could she have? Good athlete?
No, sis couldn't do none of that. Sis ain't have none of that.
I got to go after we finished playing and everything. I was out in Denver for several years in Denver's front office and got to work with Stacey Augman.
Okay.
And one of my favorite guys. And I want to ask you though, how did Stacey convince you to transfer from JUCO to UNLV?
Man, you say you got to work with him, Rex. You got to know the dude don't talk at all. The dude was just silent, not talking at all. And we made a couple of those junior Olympic teams, and we was roommates, and it was just by choice. We didn't ask to be. I was in junior college. He was redshirting at UNLV, and we made a junior Olympic team. And Larry Brown put us in, and who was recruiting me at the time? Larry Brown was recruiting me, but he put me in the room with Stacey. And I got him to open up and talk. I'm like, man, what school you go to, man? Oh, I go to Vegas. And I never heard of Vegas at the time. I started watching it then. And then we switched numbers. I had the basketball number, the basketball office at UNLV. I would call and talk to him and be like, man, I'm coming. Coach Stark then he said, no, you're going to stay in Texas. I'm like, no, Coach, I'm coming. Coach Stark didn't believe.
I'm sure Mark Workentine was in the mix.
Mark gonna be, under there. Mark under there. He had to come shake my hand. He got to give me that Vegas handshake. Stop it. Stop it. You know?
Yeah, I'm trying to think though, Larry. Think about this. Y'all's team just. Well, I remember being in Charlotte playing for the Hornets, and one of the big things in the year, 2 years that y'all were good, Duke was good. They were right down the street, but the big thing was, man, UNLV could beat the Heat and the Hornets. And and us having to sit there and be like, come on, man. We were mad, hot about it. But I think back, Larry, now with the NIL.
Oh man, stop.
I can't imagine number one, Vegas and the resources in Vegas. I can't imagine how much money you guys would have commanded. And I want to talk about this just for a quick second, but Larry, you went on to play and make a lot of money, and so did Stacy, so did Greg. But I think about Anderson Hunt, and I think about your point guard, little guy, not Greg.
Well, Greg was a point. Anderson Hunt was the shooter.
Anderson Hunt, and I think about other big guy you had. Sorry.
David Butler was a starting center. Moses Ferry.
God, think about those guys. If those guys could knock out, let's just say $1 million over 4 years, how great would that be? And could have set them up for, maybe they're going to go play basketball, but they got that to fall back on. That's what these kids today have that opportunity to do. How do you feel about all that?
I'm ecstatic for them. I mean, like you said, it's long overdue. They've been making money. They was making so much money, especially Vegas. At the time when we was doing our thing here, there was no pro teaming. There was no pro nothing. So we ran the city. So they made a lot of money, the university did. And we got, if we had this deal they have now, it'll set them guys up who probably didn't do as well. Rex, you know what I'm saying? Moses, Hunt was MVP. Everybody talk about the team, right? And they go, Larry Johnson MVP. Man, Anderson Hunt was MVP of the team, right?
Right.
Of the Final Four. He was MVP, but he never got a shot, So Detroit dude, too. Good brother.
Yeah.
I remember the first time seeing you at UNLV, and I'm from Kentucky with Rex, and I was so intimidated. Just when you showed up, I was like,
"Yo, I'm a nice guy, man. Ask Rex."
I know. then you're, and it was so the dichotomy of your great smile, but you were a tank. You were so uber athletic, and the gold tooth and the part in the middle, scared me to death. I mean, that was the guy I didn't want to meet in a dark alley. That would become in my head. And that was the guy I wanted to walk me home from school. That's the guy.
Go to the park. Huh?
Yeah. Oh, man. And then you smiled, and it was just a broke up, lit up the room, but also had a gold too. And I was like, woo. And you guys were the coolest team. And it was Vegas. And, run and gun, score so many points. Loyola Marymount, you scored like 130. Yeah. I mean, nobody playing their game. Yeah. And I have a feeling I'm going to know your answer, but there's only two teams in the history of college basketball that could be compared to who was the swaggiest team. And it was you and the Fab Five.
I know you was going to say Fab Five.
Yeah, that's the only two there could be. What do you say?
The thing about the Fab Five, they was like our little brothers. I remember we went and watched them play in high school. Anderson Hunt is from Southwest Detroit. So Jalen was from Southwest Detroit. They had a couple of pros over there. So we went and watched them. We played Michigan State. Steve Smith and them beat them on a Saturday one time. But we got in Friday night and went and watched the high school team. And Jalen and all of them was they was mocking us. You hear Webb say it all the time, we'll fold for LJ and all that. And they was like our little brothers, man. But they had the swagger. But to me, you really can't compare because you got to win one at least, fellas. You got to win something.
Yeah. You got that to fall back on for sure. But the uniform, both your uniforms were so cool.
Awesome.
It was Michigan, the black socks. You guys, when it says, Vegas on the front, that's just like, that's the Wild West. And it was.
And I also like that. Look, everybody was cheating. Let's just say it. Everybody was cheating. But I loved that y'all were cheating and y'all didn't care. That the media was saying shit about y'all that they weren't saying about everybody else. You embraced it.
It started from the top. Coach Talk was like that. Talk was like that. He's like, let's just go out and kick everybody's ass. Like, all right, Coach, we can do it.
Plus he looked like a guy that could order a hit. I mean, he was scary too. He's out in Vegas, and you're like, "Oh my God!"
He's chewing on a towel. I mean,
chewing on a towel over there. And I'm like, I do not want to cross that team. No, sir.
Not even the coach, huh?
Not him.
Yeah. He was scary too.
The Rex Chapman Show is sponsored by Fliff. Fliff is a social sports book with a chance to win cash prizes. Fliff customers can purchase Fliff coins, and then as a bonus, Fliff awards free Fliff cash with their purchase. Fliff is the only sports book that gives you free coins and cash daily. Sign up for Fliff, the social sports book. What makes us different, you ask? Fliff is a free-to-play sports book that awards real cash and prizes. Use the code BBNews for a 100% match bonus. No sports betting in your state? Try Fliff. When did you know, once you got to UNLV on campus, and the nucleus of you guys got together, Greg and Stacy and Anderson and those guys, how soon was it after the first open gym were you like, oh shit, we can be good?
It was early. And it was, Rex, when you get in that tournament, man, anything can happen. And I think for us, it was our style of play, that run and gun. Long as we didn't run up against like the Loyolas and they catch us slipping one day, we knew that if we play our style of play, we can beat anybody in the country. Because we wasn't big neither, Rex. Stacy was only somebody playing around his height. As the small forward is 6'8", but David Butler was every bit 6'8" at a center. I was 6'6", 6'5", and then Greg wasn't a tall point guard, and Anderson was shorter than that. So we were small, and we knew our strengths. Man, you got to get it out and just go, and ain't nobody be able to stay with us. It was early when I saw that.
Man, y'all might have been small height-wise. Stacey Augman's one of the longest people on the planet, and the guy was don't never forget. I know people talk about defense and whatnot. That man was the 3-time NCAA Defensive Player of the Year. Yes. He was a guy that when, Stacy probably came in a year or two after I was in. Yeah, same as you. And but he was a guy that, like, when Stacy was guarding me, I'd have to shoot it a little higher, a little quicker, because he was that long. He'd close out on you the first time. He'd be like, oh shit, he almost got that. And where nobody else could do that, right?
He was long, man. He had that wingspan that we talked about. What they call him at Atlanta? Plastic Man.
Plastic Man. Yeah. Ice. That hey,
was
come on. The first matchup with Duke. Everybody thought it would be, one of the greatest games ever. How did you guys, and you end up blowing them out by 30. How did you guys approach that game?
Before the game, Walter Payton was a big, I don't know how it happened, but he was just a big UNLV fan. He used to come to all the games. He used to sit in the locker room with Sweetness. He used to sit on a couple of games, sit on the end of the bench. But Coach Talk and Walter was super close, and I was a big time Walter Payton fan, man. So I was ecstatic for that. And he's like, guys, y'all can do something special. And his speech really I was focused, but his speech really took me to the next level. And we was just so focused in there, man. And Coach Talk had us ready to bite everybody head off. They fucking with us. They rocking. We're like, all right, Coach. He had you ready to bite it. He was more of a motivator and he was a defensive coach, but he can get you ready to kick ass, So when I was super focused going into that game, everybody was.
Was there a
so right before the game, Tark spoke, and then he brought in Sweetness?
Yeah,
before the Duke game?
Right before both games.
Wow.
Both Duke games.
Wow. And, you know, sometimes it's a celebrity sort of a thing or come in, and maybe they're not a great motivator or speaker. They'd be like, come on, go, even though they're a great athlete or something. But he lit a fire under you guys?
Oh, he wasn't that guy. He was very soft-spoken, but his words was real heavy. I stuck to everything he was saying because, you know, he's an idol too. It's Walter Payton that you watch and one of the greatest running backs. So you like this. And I'm like, yo, he coming here for us. And, you know, he did like, man, y'all got a chance to be great tonight. And his words stuck in my head and I went out there and it was over.
Isn't that amazing? I mean, but I think the thing that we're probably not thinking about, you were listening. You were embracing it. You know, there's a lot of people that will sit in that room in that moment and, you know, hear something different or shy away from the moment. Y'all were built to listen to that man and then did it. And that's pretty powerful. Was there a time in that first matchup with Duke, LJ, a play, or was there any point that something happened and you went, ooh, we got them. We got them.
For me, I was guarding Leitner at the time and Ala Abdenabi.
Yeah.
And, you know, these are 6'8", 6'9", 6'10" guys. And Coach Tark and the whole coaching staff kept saying, Larry, play behind. They wanted me to play behind these guys. I'm like, no, Coach, I want to play in front. And I played in front and got 2 steals. After I got 2 steals, Coach was like, you can play in front. Coach, I told you that I throw it over my head. So it started on defense with me. Once I got the 2 steals and Coach let me go, I was over.
I love that he's like, play behind, and you're like, no.
Yeah,
okay. All right.
Cussing word,
yeah.
I got 2 quick steals. They tried to throw it over my head. I got 2 quick steals. Yes, okay, play in front. All right.
So for real,
do you remember a play or something where you saw you broke them? Like, that's it.
It was like the whole second half. I mean, they kept calling timeout after time. We were on 10, 15-point run. We started going, and after that second timeout they had, you could see it in their eyes. They was walking, the shoulders went down, the head went down, and we kept our foot on the gas.
Y'all were every bit as good the next year.
Yeah, a little bit different.
Little different. What was different? What was different?
This is what we lost to Duke the second year because we wasn't as nasty. Our 2 nastiest players was David Butler and Moses Scurry. They beat you up. Now, I did the basketball player. Stacey did the basketball player. Greg did the basketball player. But we had some enforcers that did other things. And that was Dave Butler and Moses Scurry. Now, the second year, I thought we was more talented because we had Elmore Spencer, who played in the NBA, and George Ackles, who was just a great athlete. And I thought they was more athletic, and I thought we was more talented, but we just wasn't that nasty to like beat you up like them other 2
Interesting.
Yeah,
I'm sure as that game, and I don't want to talk too much about it because I know it's a terrible, you know, just one of these bad losses.
I'm over it now, Rex.
I know. Well,
it's still there with me, but
it's got to still be there. But I just wonder, like in that game, you know, what was. Of course, they're coming into this with a way different mindset than the last one. So you can never discount that. But when were you like, oh shit, you know, this is not that game?
I totally take responsibility for losing the second game. I was out there lollygagging. What the movie say? Bunch of lollygags. I was
grab ass.
I was lollygag, grab ass.
Yeah.
I was not serious until like the last 5 minutes, and I saw we was in the ball game, and that's when I'm like, but you can't turn it on and off. That's a good team with some good players, and they had just added what's our guy name from Detroit?
Grant
Hill.
They just had Grant, which was a freshman, but still a hell of a player at the time.
Yeah, you know where they actually, you know, where you say y'all weren't quite as good. You add Grant Hill to them, and that changes things, right?
Absolutely, 100%. Grant just did it. Grant, we didn't have an answer for Grant, so we had an answer for everybody else. And
Stacey's having to guard bigs. Stacey guarding bigs. He's got to guard.
Anthony fouls out early, So it just all went wrong for us that day. But again, I tell people this all the time, Rex. I didn't play it as hard as I should have played, man. I think my mind was on NBA, Rex, the next level. I was on all this old crazy stuff. And I talked to, I see Leighton a couple of times. We did a couple of things together. He said, Larry, that second year, man, our whole season was about playing y'all. He said, our first game of the year, we was watching y'all films. The third game of the year, it was do UNLV film, UNLV this. And we was at UNLV going undefeated. We didn't even know Duke existed the second year. You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
Like, well, they ain't going to be there. And got bit.
Wow. Man. So really you needed Walter Payton to come back before that game. That's
he
really
did.
the difference.
No, he did.
He just
both years. Both years.
Well, both years. Must not have took the second year.
Listen, it's certainly not with me. Like I said, I was out there grandmassing instead of the same way the first time, you know.
Man, it takes a big man to even say that. I'm not going to say that. Somebody sent me a video a month or so ago of like my last game in high school, and we got upset on a last second shot. And I started watching this film, and I was like, I was glad my dad wasn't in the room to just see me just kind of jogging up and down the court and playing pretty basketball. I'm like, what are you doing, man? You know, and I'll tell my teammates this day, I've lost for us. You know, I lost that game because I didn't know how hard to play in that moment.
You hit it in the nuts. That's how I felt about that second Duke game. I probably watched it once, and I'd be like this. I'd be like, man, come on, dude. Come on, dude. Yeah. Right. Because you know you're going to just watch yourself.
Right.
Yeah.
What's it like to walk into, be the baddest man in every room you walk in? What's that like?
I couldn't tell you. I wish I could. I couldn't tell you.
Let me tell you something. We had Shaq on here, and I asked him, we had been talking MMA and stuff, and I said, if the like 5 or 6 baddest MMA guys of all time walked into a bar together and they were looking to pick a fight, who's your guys from your NBA days that you would want with you? And the first name out of his mouth was you. He said, LJ.
He did.
First name out of his mouth was you. So you might not look at it, but people that know. And he said Xavier McDaniels, Charles Oakley, Gary Trent, and he said Ruben Patterson. That's the guys he'd want in there with him. And you were the first name out of his mouth. So
big fella threw me a ball, man. He threw me a ball. I've been knowing Shaq since high school. You know, he grew up kind of in San Antonio area. I was in the Dallas area, so we was crossing paths then.
That was no favoritism. Like? He knew you were a bad man.
Hey, when
I
you saw him,
saw me have a couple of fights in high school like that because I was doing everything.
Yeah, I bet you were. Right. But when you saw him for the first time, a run and jump, what did you think?
Just super big. I didn't think they made him that big. I didn't think they made him that big, and he wasn't a clumsy dude, but you could tell it was coming. So I just thought he was, and he wasn't that big Shaq. He wasn't Diesel. He was like a little scarred, lanky dude, 7-something, but running up and down, he got up and down so good. To me, that was his best. His talent was not only that he was that big, he got up and down so good before he put that weight on.
Larry, what was it like? What was it like for you going from, high school to junior college? Where, I think at the time, because I had teammates back at the time, they had just these crazy entrance requirements. I barely got into college on the ACT. You had to make a 15 in Kentucky or whatever it was. I made a 17. I barely got in. And many of my teammates couldn't get in as well. And they lost a year. Like, they didn't even give you the year back. I think it was called Prop 48. Yeah. And so what was it like going from junior college to UNLV and kind of just blowing up, and now you're the number 1 overall pick? This had to be just a crazy sped up, fast.
It was
path.
Coming out of high school, Rex, I played in the McDonald's game. I got MVP in the McDonald's game, and I signed with SMU. And SMU had just they was the program, the basketball program, the football program that took that. Yes. So he was trying to clean up the act.
We had Eric Dickerson on.
Oh, forget about it. Yeah, it was like, was it the three-headed monsters or what they called it? Fred Chad,
yeah. Pony Express.
Pony Express. All through high school. All through high school, I'm watching that, man. And I signed with SMU, and they was trying to clean up their act because of the Pony Express.
Right.
And the new, check this out, the new president that was coming into SMU came from Duke. His name was Robert Pye. I remember playing this day. He was the president of Duke, and he left Duke and came to SMU my freshman year when I was going to sign. And he set me down. He had me come to the office, president of the school, set me down, and with my high school coach, and said, "You shouldn't go to school here. You can't do the work here."
What?
It was his first year with SMU, just got to SMU, and the first thing on his agenda was me.
That makes me want to fight somebody.
Yeah, man, I was #1 this, the best player coming. SMU took a big hit for his basketball for that for 15 years. They couldn't get a Dallas, Texas player for like 15 years after he did me like that. For like 15, 20 years, nobody out of Dallas, big-time players was going to SMU. Like, man, you did Larry Johnson this way.
Larry, in that moment, you're a young man, you know, I'm sure, you know, respectful and what in that moment, what did you feel like? Like, how did that make you feel sitting across from that man telling you this?
You know, I think I was that young that it didn't hit me that I was like, okay. In my head, I was like, okay, my coach started crying. My high school coach started crying. He wanted to see me play for 4 years in Skyline. So he started crying. He's like, "Sir, you don't even know that." He just went at him. And I'm like, "Coach Mayo," is my high school coach name. Coach Mayo, don't worry about that, Coach Mayo. Don't worry about that. Because I knew that I had somewhere to go. And plus, my senior year in high school, every Texas basketball team was coming to, Mavericks was coming to my games. Houston Rockets was coming to my games. San Antonio Spurs was in my game. I'm like, don't worry about that, coach. We're going to be all right. And I went to junior college because of a friend of mine was going to this junior college. I was like, all right, I'll go to junior college with you. But
Larry, where does that resilient? But where does that come from? Where does that sort of perspective come from that you know, well, that's okay? And, you know, where does that come from?
That was the upbringing, Rex. I mean, I was always built like that. Like, there's no reason to cry over this, Coach Mayo. He was crying. He was trying to beg the man. No, we ain't begging him. We're not going to beg him. And I was trying to stand up like this, chest poked out. And all right, sir, I can't do the work here. And there was a little bit of truth to that. You know what I mean? There was a little bit of truth to that. So I knew that. And just out of the blue, one of my high school friends came over to the crib about a week later. Like, man, I'm going to Odessa Junior College. I jumped in the car with him and went to no scholarship or nothing. Jumped in the car and went to Odessa Junior College. Coach saw me. Said, "Oh, you got a scholarship. You got a scholarship."
Yeah. I mean, talk about a gift to a coach. Like, who just walked in the gym? He wants to come here. Yes. He jumped in. Okay.
You got a scholarship. You got a scholarship. Come on, man. Come on to the dorms. Let's get you checked in.
That's amazing. I want to ask you this, because then you go to the pros and you're rookie of the year. God, it was so fun to watch you. But what was it like when you went to like the shoe company and the ad agency was in there and they were like, "Okay, now we've got Little Penny, and that's really done a great job. So we're thinking about, now bear with me here. You're going to dress up like a grandmother with a wig and dunk on people. We'll call you Grandmama." Huh?
Listen, I was before Little Penny. I was before Grandmama, before Little Penny now. Okay. I started these gimmicks early. Hey, check this out. I got a story. When UNLV wore Nikes.
Yep.
UNLV, so Sonny Bancur. Remember Sonny?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm waiting on my Nike contract. I'm drafted #1, and I'm waiting on Nike, Sonny to call me, give me a Nike contract. He never called me, Rex. And my agent at the time knew why. And he said, "Larry, call Sonny for your contract." I called Sonny, and Stacy done got a contract. Kenny Anderson, #2. All these dudes up under me got Nike contract. I'm like, "Sonny, what's going on?" He said, "Larry, I'm telling you the truth. Nike don't think you're going to be a good player." I said, what? He said, Nike don't think you're going to be a good player and they don't want to sign. I said, all right, but my agent already knew this and he already had Converse over here. And he just wanted Sonny to tell me. And I'm like, oh, man, all right, Sonny. Hung up with Sonny, no big deal. My agent like, oh, you talk to Sonny? You ain't going to get it? Let's go see Converse. We went down to Converse, which was in Connecticut, and they did not pitch nothing about no grandmama. They told me, nothing about no grandmama. They say, Larry, we're going to put you in the commercial your first year. We're going to give you $1 million a year. Nobody's making $1 million off shoes right now. We're going to do, I'm like, okay, cool. I'm with that. We're going to build your own shoe. And we got this commercial. Idea for a commercial. I said, tell me about it. He said, you're going to be on the gurney covered up. So I'm on the gurney covered up, and 2 doctors is doctoring on me. One doctor is Larry Bird. The other doctor is Magic Johnson, who was in Converse at the time. And they build in the perfect basketball player, scalpel, this, that. And then they say, we finished, the perfect basketball player. And then Larry Bird said, well, we got to name it. And then Larry said, if we got to name it, his name got to be Larry. And then Magic said, no, Johnson, Larry Johnson, Larry Johnson. And I raise up and the commercial goes off. I'm like, oh, I'm in. Season starts. 2 months later, they come to me, and that's when I get that. Larry, that one didn't work. We want to put you on a dress. I'm like, what? And they gave me $1 million 2 months earlier. I bought my mom a house. I told them right there, I said, man, if I had that $1 million, I'd give it back to you. I'll give it back to y'all if I had that $1 million. That's when I got that pitch. This is going to be something good, something new. We're going to put you on a dress, how you dunking on. I'm saying, grandmama. And I never heard of a grandmama. Now, Big Mama came after that, and Medea came after that. Mm-hmm. But in some of our families, some of us call our grandmother Medeas. Some of us call our grandmothers Big Mama. I've always heard those names. I never heard grandmama. They the one came up with everything.
That's amazing.
Right. Well, it ended up being a cultural phenomenon, and it's synonymous with you, grandmama. But and that's great. I love the commercials. I thought, this is different and fun, but the commercial you just described would be the best commercial in the history of basketball. Ever.
Now, you know me, Rex. I try not to throw salt. I know. They told me one of the guys didn't want to do it.
That's what I thought, because I was trying to put together, because at the time, Kentucky was a Nike school. Mm-hmm. I was a Nike guy. I wore, Nike's all Air Force in high school. And so much the same. And I had David Falk was my agent, and who had Michael and Patrick and Muggsy, who was on our team. And he came to me, Nike, I wanted to wear Nike. Was dying to wear Nikes. They said, well, we just paid this guy a couple years ago, and we're trying to cut back on how much. The guy was Michael. They signed him to this huge deal. Mm-hmm. He hadn't fully blown up into what he was going to become. And so they said, what about Converse? And Al Harden, Roger Harden's dad, Roger played at Kentucky. I knew him. He called up. They had Magic and Larry call. They sent all these big caricature things of Magic and Larry and Doc and me, all this stuff to woo me, and then they were going to pay money. So I wore Converse, and I hated every second of it. Wore it for 5 years. I hated it. I wore 5 years because I was wearing Converse when we were together in Charlotte, and then when I finished, I wore Nike the rest of the time.
Oh wow! I enjoyed the Converse. I enjoyed the commercial. I did it first, but had fun with it. My mom had fun with it. Like little old ladies know nothing about basketball. Go, did you wear it? Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. I wore the dress.
Yeah.
So I enjoyed it. I would have loved to get more of me though, Rick. I was rookie.
Absolutely.
I'm like, yo, can we do a Larry Johnson commercial? Oh, we got another idea with grandmama. Like, all right.
But I was thinking that's the only way that wouldn't have gone off, because that was a perfect commercial. And at the time, though, they had already gotten some grief, Magic and I remember Magic and Larry, for doing a commercial together. Like at the time, it wasn't too cool to be, knowing guys on other teams and all of that stuff. So I wouldn't be surprised if one of them, was like, no, I'm going to play against this guy and blow him up like this.
I'm like, I'm the rookie. Look out for me. Like one of the guys didn't want to do it.
This podcast is brought to you by Branded Bills, the best place online for premium headwear and apparel. Branded Bills has hundreds of designs available, including our popular state collection, where you can show your pride with hats, shirts, hoodies, and more for all 50 states. Are you a company looking to brand your business? Branded Bills also offers custom apparel options that can meet your brand standards with fast turnaround and shipping. To shop or learn more, visit brandedbills.com today.
One of the best parts of, playing in the NBA is, a guy like Larry Johnson walking in on the first day of training camp, who's the number one overall pick, and you get this guy who is just likes to laugh. He smiles all the time. He comes to work happy. Selfless, a great teammate, passes the ball. Imagine what a dream it is to know that you got this guy on your team who automatically makes you and your team tougher at the jump ball. It was like a gift from God, bro. Really, it was.
I appreciate that, Rex, man.
What was it like for you?
I think I time. Well, a little nervous, but I tell people this all the time because you was what, third year, fourth year?
Third,
and
maybe.
Muggsy, third, fourth. Yep. We were so young that all you guys was just trying to help me out. It seemed like everybody wanted to make sure my transition was so smooth. And it wasn't a lot put on me. Now, you being the number one pick, there's going to be some expectations.
Right.
But not from my teammates, because I didn't start off playing well. I think because I had no training camp. Yeah. So I think like the first month I wasn't playing up to par, and it wasn't like my teammates talking about me behind my back, my teammates looking at me crazy. Right. They was just all trying to help me. We was pretty young and we was pretty close. I tell people all the time, when we was in Charlotte, when we went out, it was 5, 6, 7 of us went somewhere. Yeah. In New York, they didn't do it like that. You go for it. It was all individuals.
Larry, you were just so bouncy and springy, athletic, and you hurt your back. And when did you hurt it? How'd you hurt it? And then what was that like mentally, trying to come back from that for the next, little while? You had been an all-star already.
It wasn't easy at all. I felt like giving up at times. You felt like, because I've always wanted Rex, my goal was to be the best basketball player in the world. Now, when that happened, and it happened in the summer, I'm playing in a charity game for some guys in D.C. Yes, I'm playing in the charity. It's about a month after the season, so I hadn't did nothing for a month. So I was probably about 20 pounds overweight, and it was just a charity game, bro. And I was just jogging up and down. That's when you get hurt, when you out there BSing, you know what I mean? And then, I went after a rebound, and it shot down my leg, and I would have sat down. And, and it went for a week. I tried to live with it. And then after about a week, I said, man, I got to go to the doctor. I went to the doctor. He said, man, you herniated your disc. I couldn't walk on one leg. 50% of the muscle was gone. And I'm like, playing in this charity game.
And you don't want to tell anybody. You don't want to tell anybody.
It was crazy. So then the rehab started. And you know what? Larry Bird called me. Larry Bird called me, and I was talking because he was having.
So it was Magic that didn't want to.
I don't know. I know Larry Bird called me because he was having back issues, and he was just started talking to me. He was like, Larry, whatever you do, don't have surgery.
Really?
I said, what? He said, Larry, if you don't need it, do not let them cut on you. Just do the rehab. And I never had back surgery. I did the rehab, which helped, but I would always have issues,
recurring kind of.
Yes, it always recurring. But
how long? But you were able to come back and return to terrific form. How long were you able to go? Like, could you go 100 games without missing a game? How long could you go without it flaring up where you gotta have 3 days or a week?
Absolutely not. 100 games. It would go. God. I would get in great shape to start the season and get me 2 months in, about 30, 40 games. And then I retired, Rex, because I was popping 6 pills a game to play. 2 anti-inflammatories, 2 muscle relaxers, 2 painkillers. This is what I needed to play. Yeah. So I got tired of doing all that. I can't do this anymore. But
Do you remember a time, because you came back and you had a great season, and do you remember a time where you were like, and it could have been right there, but that you were like, wow, the pop is gone. The thing that really makes me different than ever. The thing, boom, the explosiveness. You remember a game or time you were like, uh-oh.
I don't remember game or time. It was early because I knew I just didn't feel the same. I knew I couldn't. It was in your head too, because they telling you you okay, but I wasn't finna do that. I don't want to make her feel that again. So I just started shooting the ball, man, trying to play defense, trying to contribute in other ways. But it was never a time. I just knew it from the beginning. I would never be the same.
Man, I just.
But you did. You became a really great shooter.
You become a shooter. That's the thing. You become a shooter, and
that was not your game, and you adapt.
I try to think about what you would have been like today. I mean, people talk about Zion. Well, Zion can't shoot it. I mean, your athleticism and bounce and your ability to handle in an era where bigs didn't handle would have translated today. You'd be shooting those. Josh and I call them. People talk about they can score from 3 levels, but Stephen can like damn near score from 4, and so can Trey. You would have been scoring from 4-point range now, pulling up just past half court. You ever think about that?
No. I look at these guys today, man, and the talent like shooters. I think we got some of the greatest shooters ever in the league at the time. And some of it's, I'll be, but if it goes in, it goes in. But no, I want to stay productive. I just didn't want to be in the league. You don't want to do that. So I had to find other ways.
You almost shot 1 year 39, almost 40% from 3. I mean, that's legit 3-point shooting. And that's in a time. I mean, if they had let it fly like they do now, I mean, it's just amazing that your game, you adapted your game so quickly when you didn't want to do that. When you lost the pop and you became a shooter, you became a really good shooter. And that was when you came into the league, that was the sort of the detriment to you. Right. So that's just, you must have worked really hard.
Absolutely. I appreciate it, man. Tom Thibodeau, coach now, that was my guy.
Yes, sir.
And every summer I had to go see Gerd. Gerd wouldn't have it.
Gerd gets you right. That dude's a legend. And I say this sometimes about people, and it's probably not. Muggsy Bogues deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. Tim Gergerich deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. That man is a basketball lifer. The amount of young men that he has, not only as a basketball man, but as a person, that the person that he's been to so many of you and your teammates and young people to this day. I mean, like knows my son's name. And I worked with Gerd for 3 or 4 years. That dude is a gem, right?
Yes, he is, man. If it wasn't for Gerd, Talk was the figurehead. Talk is here. But this down here was all Tim Gerger. It was all Tim Gerger. And like myself and Stacy, we probably owe Gerg everything. Because it was Gerg that stayed in your ear. You got 2 youngsters in Las Vegas, top of the world. Could have went either way with us, Could have been, but you had Gerg here. I love Gerg, man.
The thing is, though, y'all listen to him. And Gerg's the kind of guy, though, you know from the first second that he's a fair man. And if he comes in and tells you you're fucking up, you're fucking up.
Right. There was no bullshit in Gerg. Right. And back to that, as a youngster, that's what you want. And that's what you need. Yeah. That's what you need, yeah.
Hey, okay, real quick. Could Dream Team 2 beat the original Dream Team?
Absolutely. Like, I'm going to say no. I'm going to say, yeah, they going to beat us. No. Play the game. No. Absolutely. I don't think nobody on Dream Team 2 would say we lost to them guys.
That's right. I feel that. What were the games like on the shoots of Space Jam?
Oh, they built it. They took care of them. Warner Brothers. They built it. Did you ever hear about it? It was with shower. It was gorgeous.
You weren't there?
Gorgeous. Oh, I was there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I'm just saying what Warner Brothers built for Mike, because he was there the whole summer. I partook a month. But
isn't that crazy?
They built him a gym, just for him. and it was gorgeous. All the California cats, all the LA cats was coming to play. We had some pretty good games. Mike ran the gym, of course, and Magic ran the gym. They picked their teams. Yeah, you couldn't pick teams. You know what I mean?
You know, Rex was almost your teammate on that team.
Yeah, I was supposed to be in, you know, it was all I had broke my shin. I was in a cast, but you know, all of David's guys fought. Muggsy, Sean Bradley, you know, Mike, who else? There's another somebody. But yeah, I was supposed to spend the summer there and had my leg in a cast.
Were you in the movie too?
I was supposed to be there. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that, Rex. Didn't know that, Rex. Look at you. That's what you get. You at the crib doing something. You at the crib doing something. Yeah. We had a play. It was fun as hell, bro. It was fun as hell.
It was.
Yeah.
Larry, what's your favorite movie ever?
Good one. Raisin in the Sun. One with Sidney Poitier.
Wow.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
I cried Raisin in the Sun, man.
Yeah. Same.
What about Larry? What about front row center to see any group or singer or performer or speaker or athlete, dead or alive?
Tupac.
Well done.
Okay.
Jumped right on it.
Yeah.
Jumped right on it. And I want to show you one thing before we let you go here today, LJ. I've been rocking this shirt all day.
I was looking at that.
And if you see right there,
yeah. Where you get that from, man? Send me one of those.
All the guys from the 90s. I'm even on here. We got everybody, bro.
Yo, you always had a cool stuff, bro.
Right there.
I'm in the middle of that joint. Big old head. Y'all got me with a big old head.
I'll send you one. Larry Johnson, I can't thank you enough. Come back and do this, okay?
I will. Fellas, thank y'all, man. Yeah, thank y'all, man. And much success.
Larry Johnson. How about that, man?
Wow. That was a pleasure and a real dream come true for me. I mean, that guy was the guy around my age too. And he you know, it really was. We mentioned, but Barkley, he, and now Zion. It's kind of like that's the smaller guy who plays so huge and dominates the paint. And that's the evolution, or I don't know if it's an evolution, but that's it. Those are the guys that you pick as the three undersized athletic dominators.
I loved his story about playing against Christian Laettner and Ala Abdelnaby in the first championship when he wanted to front the post on those guys. Now, the thing about that is, like, you got to have great weak side help if you're going to front the post for most people. Larry, which you know, Charles had the same thing. Zion has the same thing. Their leverage, and they can get down and get, when they bend just a little bit. Same with Muggsy, just being smaller. They can get into your legs before you can bend, and you're done. He's already in jumping position. So they would try to throw it over his head. Give me that. Whole new game. And now they know, oh shit, he can front the post. We have to do something else now, because that's not going to work. But what a player.
It's so funny that he was like, get behind him. He's like, no, I got it. I mean, can you imagine a player doing that with Cal? Like, no, coach, I'm going to front him. What?
You're going to what?
You just sit over there. That was great. Oh, Grandmama.
What a good dude too, right? Just pleasant, respectful, just what a
humble.
Nice man. Yeah.
So humble.
He just sat on here and took credit, or took the blame for losing the championship game.
Yeah.
Just because he didn't play hard enough, he thinks. Which there may be some truth to that. He had teammates out there, but in the stupid world we live in today, for someone to take ownership for something like that when they don't have to is really uncommon.
Yeah.
The
humility was refreshing, because we don't have it these days.
No, we have a lot of blame shifters.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, Josh, that was Larry. You want to do this next week?
I sure would.
The Rex Chapman Show with my super dope homeboy from the Lextown, Josh Hopkins. We'll see you back here on basketballnews.com.